I just wanted to continue with regards to that maintenance. And if you are looking at the CEUs or confirmation of attending this program, you will be receiving a confirmation within a day with that, so you can turn that in for credits. Well, it is springtime, and I am just grateful that spring is here, finally. It's the most important time of the year to be planning for your child and adolescent for summer and programming for camps. Indiana has a lot of neat and exciting camps throughout the state with many different engagement opportunities for your loved one. Again, my colleague, Julie Sweetener, and I have taken a bit of time to present to you some collaborative information as to what you need to do to develop a plan for your child to attend camp. So let's begin. Camp is coming soon. Are you ready? There are several things that we need to be looking at as far as going to camp. There is a program that will be listed in the resource section at the end of this webinar that is from the IU Indiana State educational link that has a packet of all camps available for children who have special needs and disabilities. One thing that we need to be looking at is that we also need to be looking at your local areas. We have so many areas that have like YMCAs, we have parks, we have recreational departments, and even private gyms in your neighborhood that may have programs that have been or are being developed for children and adults with disabilities. And I would go ahead and check them out. Many of our local recreational departments have somebody that you can talk to directly. They have summer camps. You just need to ask them if they have a specialized teacher or therapist that are on board. Many of them do, because a lot of teachers during the summertime do not have a job that they have to do during the summertime, so they actually volunteer. Another thing that we could be looking at is Special Olympics. Special Olympics is really important. They have interest for helping your child or adolescent who's involved with a sports interest. Special Olympics provides year-round sports training and athletic competition for over 20 Olympic-type sports for children and adolescents and adults with disabilities. I have many people that are on my caseload that started out with Special Olympics because of the summer programming, and today they have, they still are involved with Special Olympics. And so I would recommend you guys to be looking at their website or calling the 800 number, which I've provided. The other thing that I thought for families to look at is that local colleges and like museums offer specialized programming, and many times they're underutilized because families don't know to look at that. So let's just begin with a quick video I'd like for you to listen to.
Well, hello everybody, it's video time again because we have a camp coming next week. And speaking about camps, I really started to think about a lot of the things we don't think about with camps. And there's several components to selecting a camp and to preparing for a camp. One thing I always ask my parents to do when they're selecting a camp is to think about their child's ability and what the camp is, and those have to match. Sometimes we see our child in a certain light, but they don't function as well with people they don't know, and so oftentimes their functional level is a little different than what we see at home. So I always recommend when you're evaluating a camp program, depending on your child's abilities, whether they have some behavioral issues, whether they have some emotional issues, whether they have developmental issues, or sometimes all of the above, it's important to really evaluate that camp very realistically with your child's ability. And I tend to say, I would select a camp that can manage your child on their worst day. Okay, it's important to do that, because what ends up happening if we don't do that is we make it a very unpleasant program or day for your child, but it also makes the camp staff reactionary rather than being proactive. So it's real important that you do that. So when I look at camps, I always say, make sure it's the right fit. I know as a parent, because I raised 2 kids that had a lot of those issues, I know the feeling of, I just need a break. And I get that. I so get that. And I don't want to fill out 500 forms. I so get that. But just like we prepare for school or we prepare for a trip, all these things we've talked about, remember, our kids don't transition well. They struggle with new environments. So we want to make sure when we send them to that camp that the camp is prepared and the child's prepared. This is critical for their success and making it a therapeutic, fun process versus a disaster. Because none of us like to get the phone call I've gotten, well, your child's not doing well at camp today, can you come get them? None of us want to do that. I mean, the phone number flashes up and our hearts start pounding. What's happened? And so if we choose the option of rolling the dice and not preparing, there's a 50% chance that won't be successful. So I implore you to really look at the camp and look at your child's ability, look at what you want to accomplish, and facilitate a positive process.
What great information to start out with. So special needs camp, let's look at that. Camps are designed specifically for kids with special needs, from developmental differences like autism, ADHD, or intellectual disabilities to medical issues like diabetes, cancers. Are a good option for your challenged camper. So remember, anything that we have, it's a great idea to reach out to those camps in advance just to see what kind of supports they can give. So let's look at some pros of camps. One saying I really truly believe is, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be me. So true. And that's what these camps should be, is that they can have fun and just be me. Pros for camps is giving that young individual an environment geared just to their specific needs. They also give them the opportunity to socialize with peers with the same disabilities. They also give the expectation of all activities and rules will be appropriate, just designed for your child. And then also for the families, it also gives the opportunity for networking with other families. Let's look at those cons. Camp can be scary. One thing is really difficult or having a negative impact for our kids is the location and travel. We have to take in consideration, does it take a lot of time to get there? That travel may upset that individual itself. We also have to look at the housing and living or accommodation. If they're there for several days, is to making sure that that is accessible to that individual. Another con we have to look at when we look at some of the camps is that sometimes they do utilize or have to rely on high school and college students to be the counselors there. I love those counselors. They're so full of enthusiasm and youth. I wish I could bottle that energy up. But there is a time where those individuals still don't have the training and then rely on an individual that they need to help with. The cons are that, special needs teachers and therapists, are they there at that camp to help out? And a lot of them do have those, by the way, on there, but some of them don't. And lastly, we kind of look at the implementation of the programs correctly. like you and I are, nothing goes according to plan. Sometimes they just kind of have to wing it. And sometimes, you know, the individuals that are helping out may not be able to follow those programs correctly. And then also the cons of maybe how to deal with crisis. So some questions to ask when you call the camps. Are there adult counselors with special ed degrees and experience? Good question to ask. How about those counselors, the special degree, are they involved to the day-to-day activities or specific groups of campers? Can my child have one-to-one aid if necessary? How much will it cost? Yep, that's a big one. What will that person's age and qualification be? And that's referring back to maybe the counselors and the special ed degree and experience. And lastly, what are the rules in regards to discipline and behavior modification or management? Can my child have his or her own behavior plan? And who would administer that? So some other big questions. Transportation. Is that child going to be transported between camp times? Are they going to be going somewhere? How are they going to do it? And how much do the camps cost? This is really specific. In this guide that will be listed at the back of the resources, many of these will have a list of how much they cost. And then also, additionally, they also have the scholarship and camperships. And these are something that, as parents, we need to prepare in advance. Many of those times, those scholarship and camperships have a deadline and the March and April timeframe. So it's not something that we can just wait till the last minute. We need to apply early. We can think about questions as, are there special services like speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy? And can we add some of our waiver services? You know, some camps do actually take waiver services, or they could have a support staff being there with that individual. So at this point in time, I am going to introduce you to some of the camps that are out there. This is throughout the whole state, and I took a slice of each of the areas so everyone would have an idea of some of the camps. So we'll start with Indianapolis with Camp Riley.
On the court? Definitely not one. In the pool?
And I like the color blue.
Love the color blue.
Or on stage? These campers are enjoying a time and place of their own.
I was the kind of person that Riley likes to have at their camp. You know, it's very active, they try and get their campers up out of their seats and get them active and get them going.
Most people think, oh, it's just a traditional camp experience for kids with physical disabilities, and it is that, but it's so much more than that. It's perhaps the only week out of the entire year where they're in the norm. Everybody has a physical disability, and that's unique for them.
Everyone's generosity to the crusade has been creating memorable experiences at Camp Riley for decades.
That covers the cost of many different things, including a high camper to staff ratio, physicians, nurses, and all the different activities that go along with camp.
We rock climb, we do the lake, we swim in the pool. We do like all the kinds that other camps do, except it's adaptive.
It's really cool just to see how they break down the barriers of disability and make you more independent and feel like you don't have as much of a disability as you thought you did when you first came to camp.
Yes, got one. You got one.
Melissa Swan, WHAS 11 News.
And as far as Camp Riley, you can go online there, and I do have that link, and to be able to pull down their application. Next one we're doing is in Martinsville, Indiana, and this is Camp Possibility.
Possibility is basically a camp where a bunch of people with disabilities get together and they do things that most able-bodied people don't do or haven't done in their life.
Camp Possibility is definitely a place where people can come and have adult conversations and adult activities and really just hang out and make friends.
It allows them to do things they've never done and lets them create friendships that will last a lifetime.
All the activities that they do all week long are already built for them. They don't have to worry about something not fitting their needs or something being too hard for them to reach. It's all ready for them. All they have to do is enjoy it.
My favorite activity is zip lining. To be able to just go really fast down a zip line in a chair is nothing that I would have ever thought I could do.
A lot of people that have disabilities tend to be isolated in the community just because they sit in a chair. And I think one thing that they realize when they're at camp is that they're loved and valued regardless of their physical body and their physical situation, and that we will accept them and love them for who they are.
They know there's no judgment here. They know that if they can't do something, they're going to have people that support them and have them keep trying until they do it successfully.
Living in cabins really brings the camaraderie out in everyone. Being in a smaller living setting with bunk beds.
I think camp really helps everyone realize that they need to spend time getting to know a person before they make judgments. And that really carries over into the rest of their lives as far as how they relate to people.
And probably the thing I like about camp the most would have to be being around other people with similar injuries as myself.
We had a lot of amazing donations this year. People donated supplies. We had a lot more equipment for the pool so that our campers could do more activities. Our largest donation came from the AWS Foundation in Fort Wayne. They donated $20,000 for us to provide camper scholarships. We also received Hoyer lifts from Journeys Healthcare. We worked with Belliacs, and they were able to get us their equipment at a discounted rate thanks to IB Bank and MJX Asset Management.
My whole family volunteered at Camp Possibility because we wanted the opportunity to truly serve and give. We wanted a chance to impact the lives of people that have had some pretty unbelievable disabilities and yet have a joy of life that we wanted to experience with them.
Seeing the smiles on my campers' faces when they get to try something new and being able to help them and then see them get to know other people with disabilities and make them just feel like a normal person for this week.
There are a lot of adult camps that serve young adults with disabilities, but because we only serve those that have physical disabilities but high cognitive function, as far as we know, we are the only one in the U.S. that does that specifically, and that is why we have campers that come from all over the U.S. to join us.
Going from North Carolina to Indiana was a pretty big risk, but it was well worth it.
I feel like able-bodied, I just took it for granted that I could do just about anything I needed to or wanted to, so I never really tried too much. Oh yeah, I can do that. But this is proving to myself that I can do it more or less, and proving to others that they're wrong and saying I can't do it, if that makes any sense. So I found that kind of a cool thing since my injury.
To come here and deal with the issues that the campers have to deal with showed me that in many ways they have more. They have more life and a lot more joy. And to experience that is really, it's pretty life-changing.
One of the things I did want to note is that this does also, accommodate, adolescents, not just only adults, but it does give an opportunity for them to be able to do some more adult thinking type of activities. So let's go ahead and let's look up at Michigan City in our Northwest Territory for Camp Compass.
I want to see. I'll take it slow, I'll take it slow. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. No, I don't mind the open road. I know, no matter where I go. I know, whoa. I know, I'm on my own. I'm never far from home. Whoa. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, everywhere I go. Whoa. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, everywhere I go. I know that I'm not alone. No destination on my mind. We'll take our time, we'll take our time. We'll go get lost so we can find the things we thought we left behind. I know, no matter where I go. I know, whoa. I know, on my own. I'm never far from home. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. I know that I'm not
This is a camp that, just like I was saying, utilizes the Boy Scouts of America and their facilities. Camp Life Compass is up. They have students from the age of 7 to 17 years old, where they'll be working on, their focus is going to be building personal and social confidence, and is tailored to the unique abilities and traits of the campers. And they do things like hiking, fishing, playing, and more. Now let's go down to Evansville, where we are a camp that we have to learn how to ride a bike. And so many of our kids, that's something that they want to be just normal like their friends. So let's take a look at Camp I Can Bike.
It has always been a summertime rite of passage.
All right, head on over to your bike.
One of life's simple pleasures that forges a friendship.
How many stickers did you get today? 2. Whoa, nice
But
job.
in here, they're overcoming roadblocks you would never see on your neighborhood streets.
Battle, battle, battle. You know, in the beginning, I was a little nervous. Let me put your helmet on for you. How are you today? It's different. It's a different type of experience. You're seeing a lot of different types of kids. You're seeing a lot of different cities. All right, hands on, let's go. Feet up. So it's definitely been a big change. I've learned how to deal with behaviors. I've learned to deal with parents. I've changed dramatically from my first year to my last year. All right, Thomas, I'm going to show you something.
Meet Thomas, diagnosed with autism, and struggles to do the little things we take for granted, like riding a bike with his buddies.
Instead of moving these, I just want you to move these.
Because now he's getting older, he's 13, all his friends are not riding with training wheels. So I thought this was a great opportunity for him to learn how to ride without having his friends around, because he'll be more embarrassed if he's still learning to ride without training wheels in front of his friends. So yeah, this is really awesome thing.
What's going to happen is I'm going to assign you to a rider today. You will be with that rider hopefully all week.
The Ike and Shine week-long bike camp is their ticket to ride.
There you go. Nice job.
Giving confidence and self-esteem to special needs children with disabilities ranging from cerebral palsy to Down syndrome.
Both hands on the handles. Both hands.
Well, it's my 5th year with this organization, and I just love it and keep coming back for more.
I think that's a little too big.
It's something that seeing them accomplish something that they've never been able to do, or doctors have been telling them that they've never been able to ride a bike, to be able to prove them wrong and prove themselves that they can ride a bike, seeing that transformation throughout the week just makes you want to come back for more.
You're doing great. Make sure you're paying attention.
The riding force behind this success is a revolutionary technology engineered at the University of Illinois.
What they're doing is they're learning how to steer, they're learning how to pedal, and once they get that and they become more comfortable as a rider, then we start taking out the rollers and putting on more narrow rollers, which creates a little more instability. But we only do that when we see that they're confident in what they've started, because a lot of times they've practiced and they haven't been successful. So we want them to get over that initial fear and get some confidence before we boost the instability portion of it.
Nice job. Make sure you're turning so you know where you're going.
The bike camp has become so popular, there are now over 85 of these nationwide. And this is the 5th year in a row it's been held right here at the Academy of Notre Dame. Why the success? Because 80% of these kids by the end of the week are riding their own bike.
I mean, the bikes do everything. They're amazing. And it's the parents' involvement. It's the people that bring the camps. They're the ones that make it successful. We're just here to kind of lead everything, but it's the riders, it's the parents, it's the camp hosts, it's the bikes. So they're the things that make it successful.
And ultimately, it's not the miles that are logged, but the milestones that are achieved.
Oh my God, are you kidding? It's right up there.
All right, Peacock. Sweet, let's go. Let's see it.
For Thomas, every little thing, people sometimes take for granted certain things or certain milestones. So Thomas didn't talk till he was 3.5.
Dude, awesome.
So for him to tell me I love you himself on his own was huge. So this is right up there. Right up there.
Awesome.
Off to another area for some water sports with Camp WAC in West Lafayette. He did it. Yay. I'm seeing many comments here in the comment section of all these programs, but I will mention them at the end of the programming, what's been said. Now let's turn our sights to Elkhart with ADEC. Wow. Whew. Save that one. But really, it's really interesting to see so many different parts of those camps. They reach out to some of those kids and they use so many different techniques to use the senses, to use their social skills, and also just to be active in utilizing nature around them. Our next one is in Bloomington, and this one's a really interesting camp because it's one for improv, and for those teens that are looking for theater or developing their communication skills. I find this a very interesting camp. Let's go ahead and look at Camp Yes And. And by the way, this is free if you sign up for
I'm
it.
Jim Ansaldo. I'm a research scholar and I'm the co-director and co-founder of Camp Yes And. Camp Yes And is a free summer camp for teens on the autism spectrum and educators, where we use improv as a method to strengthen communication and social skills. So it combines direct support for youth with disabilities and professional learning for educators.
What's going to happen here is I'm going to get what's a physical motion that our campers could do on repeat? Something like this, or something like this, something that they could do on repeat. Oh, great, I love this, great. So we'll have everybody join in doing this motion. Jim's going to say one thing he could be doing while doing this motion. He's going to say,
I'm raising the roof.
Everyone together is going to say, top back. That's right, he's going to say a thing he could be doing.
I am putting my hands up at a rap concert. I'm bench pressing an entire cow.
I loved all the games, all the fun activities that we did.
I really like how they take learning each other's names and, all that stuff where, you learn to wait for people, sharing the focus, stuff like that, and incorporating that into improv. I definitely think this is a great skill for people to have. Any age, I feel like this is a great trait to have. And I definitely think this camp pinpointed that and executed it perfectly.
Can you guys think of examples of how you might use the skills that you learned this week in your everyday life?
Probably, let's say at school, if someone says something, you can add on to it.
Yeah, adding on to, questions or answers or whatever conversation you're having, or even talking in a new situation. Like, you gotta be able to, think on your feet. That's what improv is. It's like thinking on your feet. And I feel like that is right now it's very current. So I definitely like this.
I was in a time where I was really shy. I was bullied at school. I was going through a lot of stuff, and I think camp just perfected the way I talked and the way I connected with other people, and I felt like I wasn't shy here, and it gave me a safe home, a safe haven.
Can I go? Of course. All right. So after we have things like bacon cheeseburgers, we often follow up with dessert. So I was wondering, what is the most popular dessert on your planet? Strawberry and cheese.
Pizza.
Been a great experience. I don't know if I've entered into very many experiences, or what I was looking to get out of it ended up being exactly what I thought. And what I was looking for was some way to reach a lot of those ASD kids, or the kids who struggle with social skills, who aren't responding to social stories or general role playing, a lot of the things we usually try to use to improve those. And this has really given me lots of tools to effectively set up social activities that I think will create carryover in the kids. And I actually know, because I've already seen in the course of this week, kids learn and carry over social skills in a 5-day period. So I can't wait to implement it with kids in a school setting.
Space, and it's allowed me to see these kids in a space where they're just like really having their strengths displayed, and they're really just able to kind of engage, and seeing them support each other and like really just like laugh wholeheartedly at one another and just feel really comfortable. It's been just so heartwarming to see.
Yeah. It's also been really amazing to see like just the small changes in these short 4 days at this point, like having the opportunity to see the ways that like improv and like really improves and like gives them an opportunity to shine in ways that I don't think are normative to their experiences. But also it's super fun. It's not, you know, a setting where you're sitting down and, you know, telling kids like, do it this way, you know, that's not the way, do it this way, which I love about it.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, they're mixed with adults who also don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so we're both like learning alongside one another.
But I didn't expect this to be how fascinating it was and has been, and how much I can see, and I'm constantly thinking of the times that I can incorporate this, not just with students on the autism spectrum, but with teachers and professional development things, with my students with emotional disabilities, with just students who are relatively unmotivated to do things. There are just so many ways that this can be incorporated, and I'm really just grateful to have this as an additional tool.
And this camp gave me so many games. I wanted to say that was so important to me. I've never been in any educational experience where I was learning something like every minute of the day. You go to other workshops and it's just like, okay, we're gonna leave early today, or it just felt like there's so much being offered to us and so much that we can bring back to our kids.
Really neat camp, and I just wanted to point out to you, and before we had that last time, is that this is actually a free camp, and reaching out to that camp early would be something that I would advise you if you have some high functioning autistic individuals or other individuals that really are trying to work on communication skills. So let's go ahead and turn our eyes to North Webster in the Warsaw area. And this is for adults and younger adolescents as well.
My favorite part of coming to RioEd is everyone picking up right where we left off last year.
Sailing by faith, anchored in God. It's, I would say, what gives us hope.
I think we really revisited our faith this week, anchored in love, anchored in faith. It refocused us as we sail through time and made us look at what's really important in life.
I see God, not just how they worship and how they treat each other. So many times, the hugs that we get from counselors are only a tenth of the hugs they give each other.
Seeing them sing the songs that our worship team leads is so wonderful and heartwarming.
The 50th anniversary of RioEd means to me that we have a special privilege to continue a legacy that was started to give special individuals like you guys a community and a home.
We've been talking about a lot of summer camps available for our children, but one of the things I wanted to let you know, this whole list will be available to you at the end on our resource page. It is put out by Indiana University. I do have that link. I know several of you guys have been asking about it. It's a huge packet that has camps, and again, I had to choose from a variety of camps available across Indiana. One of the things I also wanted to point out to you for your child is that they could also be doing therapeutic writing, which is very helpful for the growth and development of our students. The Northern Indiana, North American Riding of Handicap Association began its focus with horseback riding as a form of physical and mental therapy. And so I'm going to show you a clip of a local horseback therapeutic riding camp.
Behavior, it's the very thing I love. If you were an ice cream flavor, you would be my favorite one. My imagination sees you like a painting by Van Gogh. Starry nights and bright sunflowers follow you where you may go. Oh, I've loved you from the start, in every single way, and more each passing day. You are brighter than the stars. Believe me when I say it's not about your scars. It's all about your heart. You're a butterfly held captive, small and safe in your cocoon. Go on, you can take your time. Time is said to heal all wounds. Oh, I've loved you from the start, in every single way, and more each passing day. You are brighter than the stars. Believe me when I say it's not about your scars. It's all about your heart. Like a lock without a key, like a mystery without a clue. There is no Romeo if I cannot have you. Oh, I loved you from the start, in every single way, and more each passing day. You are brighter than the stars. Believe me when I say it's not about your scars. It's all about your heart. All about your heart.
And that is true. It is all about your heart. There's many exciting day programs throughout the state of Indiana through the Spring Hill day camps. One of the things I wanted to point out to you, my video is not working, but these camps, as long as you are letting those camps know that you have a special needs individual, they will work with having a one-on-one counselor with your child or adolescents. I am running out of time, so I just wanted to go through just some questions real quick before we end. I also have another video which you guys can refer back to when you get the link for the Camp Millhouse, which is here up in South Bend. But again, due to time constraints, we're going to bypass that at this point in time. Very informational information that Julia had worked with Camp Millhouse at that time, and I encourage you to look at that. So once again, some of the questions I had come across here was, where did I get all this information from? Where I would like to point out to you is that this website, the iidcindiana.edu, they have summer and camps programs listed in it. And this is that packet I was telling you about with all the camps that are available. Also, the Special Olympics site here is that reference. This summer and camps program was compiled by Marcy Wheeler, which is an MSW, and Kelsey Camp, which is a BA MSW graduate student. So at this time, I just wanted to reach out to everyone here if anybody had any other questions at this time. I'm not seeing any messages at this time. Michelle, do you happen to have any?
Nope, I don't have any questions.
All right, well, I really want to just ask you guys all these questions. I'm ready for summer camp. Are you? Just please go ahead and start planning now, and let's get our kids into the summer camps this year. I appreciate your time, and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I'll go ahead and end this, and when I end this, it'll stop the recording, and then we'll have the recording that we can send out as well.
Sounds great. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.